This client, we missed out on an auction a few weeks back.
For some context, that one that we miss out on goes for 158. Our clients and yourself hold firm on the budget, and then we come into this one a few weeks later and spend, which you'll get to, but spend 1.4.
1.4.
So 180k cheaper.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yep, going all right. So a dual lock on this site. So a couple of things that were a concern. Firstly, you know, the easement down the side, 9 times out of 10, you're probably just going to move on to the next one because it's just too much of a concern. If I put on the high res here as well, you'll see from this high res plan view, here on the nature strip, there's a sizable tree as well. And from this perspective, you think, geez, it's pretty close. You may not get your second driveway in there. So a couple of, you want to call them orange flags, a couple of red flags there that sort of make you think, oh, I'm not sure.
I guess just a lesson to everyone out there that there is potentially some speed humps, some little red flags, but if you can work through them, they can nearly be an opportunity. So good work with that, Gav. Welcome to the Development Tank, powered by ReadyBuild, bringing you the best price and value in knockdown rebuild and dual occupancy projects. If you're planning a single or a dual home build, book a call with me. Just scan the QR code on your screen or visit littlefishproperty.com/call to get started. And for all the property nerds out there, head to littlefishnetwork.com/free to unlock exclusive insights, property tools, and the best online property community in the game, completely free. Let's get into the pod. Hey guys, welcome back to the Development Tank. Guru Gav's back. He's been buying. This is one he bought a couple of weeks ago for some amazing clients. So super pumped to show everyone what we're doing here. We're back in Doncaster, hot pocket of Melbourne, Doncaster and Doncaster East, and a ripper ReadyBuild dual on this site ready to go. So we're going to go through where it is, what it is, floor plans, Feaso, all that sort of stuff. So let's get into it. Gav, thanks again.
Mate, good to be back. I just love buying good property.
Oh, mate, they're not always around, and like we know, a lot of things can go wrong in the due diligence and feasibility stage, which means some of these properties fall off the list. So it's amazing when they keep ticking the boxes and the deals come together. It's not like buying a loaf of bread, as we say. There's this high stakes, and we need to make sure that they are as de-risked as humanly possible.
That's right. And this one actually probably had a few red flags on it initially and would scare off, I guess, if you weren't that confident in what you're doing. You'd probably move on to the next one. But we saw some good potential in it and did our research and asked the right questions. And in the end, we found a really good solution and a good development opportunity. Yeah,
I think that's the conversation we had during this process was when a couple of these red flags, and I'm not talking about crazy risky ones that would risk the success of the development, but more so flags that pop up that are a bit abnormal, that people wouldn't be used to seeing, and it could sort of turn a few people off. But if we can navigate them in a really confident way, sometimes an opportunity can come from it.
Yeah, look, we'll definitely cover that when we talk about the site. Now, this client, we missed out on an auction a few weeks back.
Yes.
As you say, we got it handed to us. So this client, we had a few others in the background that we were working on. They're super motivated. They wanted to buy, this first part of the year. And I had probably 3 that were all pretty good, and this was one of them. I sent them over a quick overview of each of them, what I liked about them, what I didn't like about them.
Yes.
They're in the area already, so they went out and drove past all 3 and pictured themselves living in these areas.
Yeah.
And they come back to me and said, look, this is the one we like. Let's see if we can work through it.
Yeah, make it happen. Awesome. So tell us, Gav, on our faithful land checker platform, where are we?
Great. So we're, if I just zoom out here, we're 18 kilometres from the city, again, in that eastern corridor, with Doncaster just here. So if I'm zooming in now, I've got a few air tags on these. I actually use these for the client just to show where the comps were, which I think we covered off in a pod a few weeks back. The blue one's showing where the comps are that I'd found, and the orange tag there indicating the site itself. So you get a good representation of where we are in relation to those comps that I found for the site.
I think that's super important because, we run a lot of comps, you run a lot of comps, and they can be in a list, but I think to have them on a map so you can appreciate where they are compared to schools, busy roads, shopping strips, reserves. Yeah. You get a vibe for the pockets that you need to be in and whether they're in the pocket with you or not. And a layout like that really helps.
Yeah, well, these suburbs like Doncaster East, they're quite big. Yeah, they're certainly a lot bigger than Garden Vale, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So okay, let's zoom in on the site here. Now, first things first, let's just check out the size of this site. So 725 square meters.
Solid.
18.3 metre frontage.
Solid.
Geez, imagine finding sites of this in the southeast corridor. Jeez, you'd be pretty happy, wouldn't you? You'd be buying up. So great dimensions for the site, great size, and for this area, if I just go into the topography here, it's not too bad for this area. We're quite common just looking at 3 or 4 metres.
Well, when you're out, in these pockets, to sort of be a metre, we're going okay, and you can usually make that work. So.
Yeah. So look, south facing is not ideal, right? It's certainly not the sort of first criteria that we look for, I can tell you. But the other thing with this site that probably scared a few others off, I'll get rid of the topography and we'll put the easements on here. You can see there's your typical easement across the back of the site, but along the eastern boundary, you've got another easement there as well. So if you're doing a dual lock, and this client, they're the client that wanted to do a dual lock, sell one, keep one, and be in the sort of the Doncaster or East Doncaster school zone. And they're probably planning on doing a couple. They'll do this one, live in it a couple of years, and then go and do another one, and maybe just work into the exact pocket they want to be in, because again, they've got a budget, so we're working within that, and we're trying to help them. So a dual lock on this site. So a couple of things that were a concern. Firstly, the easement down the side, 9 times out of 10, you're probably just going to move on to the next one because it's just too much of a concern. If I put on the high res here as well, you'll see from this high res plan view, here on the nature strip, there's a sizable tree as well. And from this perspective, you think, geez, it's pretty close. You may not get your second driveway in there. So a couple of, you want to call them orange flags, a couple of red flags there that sort of make you think, oh, I'm not sure.
But like we said, maybe just enough to have other people maybe moving on and and not having the confidence in their own expertise and knowledge to maybe figure these issues out and maybe let's go find something a bit more straightforward. Yeah.
Well, with the research we did, it's just a sewer easement, and I think it was 1.5 metres. So the property that we missed out for this couple, 26 Paula, a few weeks back, that was roughly 1.5 metres narrower than this site. So essentially, if you were to discard the easement and bring the boundary in, it's essentially the same site. So
like it.
Yeah, so you're going to get a dual lock on there. You just need to be mindful of what the easement's for. Sometimes, not so much in these inner suburbs, you're going to get a high pressure asset. That's when you need a much bigger clearance, and it can be problematic. So, but you just look on what you can do is you can just look on the contract and you can see there, Melbourne Water, and you can see that it's just a standard sewer. You could do dial before you dig if you chose, but you probably get the same information. Okay, so now while we're talking about the easement, let's just go into the plan view in the title. So this is just comes with the actual contract of sale for the property. You'll see here the easement on the eastern boundary, but the asset actually stops here just before the back of the eastern property on the corner. Now the easement carries all the way through, and at this point in time we're going to say, well, that's what we're going to have to build around. We will leave that. But when we have a look at the actual plan a bit later on, it does open up a couple of possibilities as well. All right, so maybe should we look at the plan first then?
Yeah, I think the plan's a good spot to go to. And I just love the fact a couple of perceived red flags, and because we're able to navigate that, I think the client's been able to get something which you'll get to, but before auction, less competition than a couple of weeks back at auction. We're potentially talking about the same buyers that were at auction a few weeks ago versus what could be looking at this. So I think good result.
It's funny you say that. Talking to the agent for this one, and the Jin who was selling this, very switched on guy, knows about development, just knowledgeable, smart, and a good operator, but at the same time had a good level of professionalism as well. So helpful, but wanted to make it fair for everybody. And it's funny you raise that, because he told me that he had another buyer who was super hot on this site, but he bought another site a couple of weeks before at 26 Paula. So he was the guy that we missed out on at the last property that my clients were bidding on.
Yeah, right.
So there you go. So he was actually the buyer there. So Jim was saying he was really disappointed because he had him hot on this site, because he thought this site was going to go for 1.5 or more. Yeah. So he just thought, look, maybe I'll try and get into East Doncaster. Yeah. And he ended up spending 158 there. So
well, that's the thing. Yeah, for some context, that one that we miss out on goes for 158. Our clients and yourself hold firm on the budget and say, no worries, you have it.
Yeah.
And we live to fight another day. And then we come into this one a few weeks later and spend, which you'll get to, but spend 1.4.
1.4.
So 180K cheaper.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yep, going all right. So maybe we should just quickly touch on the other sort of concern we had was the tree on the nature strip. So Jin, that's why I was touching on him as well. He did a quick inspection for me. He said, look, it should be all right. Didn't give me enough confidence, so jumped in the car, go down there, tape measure, measured it up, took some photos, spoke to my arborist. Now, when you're looking at the actual plan view in Land Checker, it looks like it's almost covering where you want to have the second driveway, but going down there was actually quite a big space. It was 8 metres from the trunk to the boundary.
Yeah,
that's heaps. And just on that boundary, there was a stormwater drain. It was split across the two, so you may be taking 500 for that.
Yeah.
You want to come in another 500, so we're fine. We've got
perfect
4 metres to the tree from your crossover, so no problem.
Great.
Another factor as well to keep in mind when you're looking at these things, the canopy on the tree was also from the centre of the tree. This is just my standing under it and measuring it. It was about 3.5 metres, so it didn't have like a 6 or 7 metre canopy that then you're looking at TPZ, tree protection zones and roots and that sort of stuff. And if it is a line ball, those things become
100%. They're just risks that you can't entertain. So we need some daylight.
Yeah, so we went down there, throw a measure on it, spoke to the arborist, de-risked the tree, no problem at all. So we can get a dual lock even with the easement, and the tree is not blocking the crossover. So we've gotten rid of those two sort of issues that we were maybe a bit concerned about.
Yeah, and one thing that we'll get to with the plan, but the front setback looks to be quite friendly based on the average of your two neighbours, which is really encouraging. Obviously,
we zoom out here a bit. So we're looking at this one here through here, which is probably 2 metres.
Really close, and then the other one's a decent setback.
Yeah,
but
I think that's 9,
what you'll see with the plans is that I think pretty friendly on the front setbacks, which mean we maximise the space in the backyard because we are a south facer. So we do want things like small front setbacks, good area in the front yard to make sure we're capturing sun. So here we are, Gav. Beautiful.
So here we are. This is the
plan's looking great.
Yeah, ReadyBuild 30. So this is our standard plan. We've put the al frescoes on the back as well, and because of the extra frontage, we've been able to do a double garage on one of the properties. It'd be on the property that they prefer, so the western side, so more sun, more natural light. And when I was referring to before with the sewer asset, now this is not going to be the perfect location because it hasn't been surveyed, and there's definitely processes to go through. But before we do that, what we could possibly get away with here is maybe building that garage out to the boundary, because if we can be outside the easement zone with that asset, then there's a good chance, and we've got to talk to the council. I mean, there's a process to go through.
100%, a build over easement permit and things like that, but building over an easement that's empty, I don't mind our chances with a garage, a non-habitable part of the house. But could be an option there. Make it a garage and a half. An oversized garage could be nice. So
just enough room for a red light sauna and a plunge pool.
There you go.
I don't think so.
GK will be coming around.
So, but again, you dig a little bit deeper. We haven't gone the extra yard in this yet, but there's a good chance we can get a much bigger garage, and you're going to add to your resales.
Yeah, no. Really like it, Gav. Plans looking great with the ReadyBuild 30 there in full flight. Now, let's have a look at some numbers, hey?
Great. So feasibility time. Right. So advertised, I think it was 1.3 to 1.35. Talking to the agent, he sort of felt like if we were to get up closer to sort of over 1.35, but maybe up closer to 1.4, we'd be able to take it off the market again. They were pretty keen to go to auction. We put an offer in for 1.38, I think it was, and that was enough for the vendor. They decided, yes, I'm happy to accept that. So they went back out to market. Now, there were two other quite interested parties. One was a family who wanted to put a single house on it for themselves. The other one was actually a developer from the Bentley area. Because it turns out this agent used to be in the southeast corridor in the Glen Ira area. Now he's over here in Doncaster, and it's one of his old clients that have come over. And there's, I guess that just goes to show in this example here, you've got another developer who focuses a lot on the southeast corridor, but is seeing good value in doing projects in these areas as well, these suburbs.
Yeah.
So
why not?
Two pretty stiff competitors, and as you've said before, if we put an offer in early and we can get the conversation started before the auction, you might catch people off guard. In this case here, the single home buyer just wasn't ready. and the developer was just needed a bit more time. So he did some extra work on it. They ended up coming back with a counter offer, and then we had the opportunity. It was like a best and final. We had an opportunity then to do our best and final.
Yep.
We went up to 1.4 with a shorter settlement of 60 days. I knew that the vendor was very keen on a 60-day settlement. We as I always do, we sort of went for a 120 to start with, just to see what sort of feedback we would get.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, look, it's really got to be 60. I'll try for 90. And when we actually got into this process, it was more like 60's probably where you need to be.
Yeah.
So we just thought we'd stick with that. Client was happy. We communicated all that with them, and we understood the implications. And that was enough. That got the deal done at 1.4.
Yeah, love it. I think, and during that process, I think it's super important to understand the drivers of all parties in any type of negotiation, figuring out what the parties actually want, other than assuming highest price. But, you guys have negotiated and taken a property off somebody at the same figure because you're able to work on the settlement terms, which you knew was a big driver for the vendor. So I think diving in and figuring out, what sort of deposit, what sort of settlement terms, obviously price is a massive factor, all these sort of things going into your negotiations, having an understanding what's driving them, I think it can really work in your favour.
And I also, with this one as well, I think we probably got it for a good price because talking to the agent, the weekend just before that, they'd had a lot of people through. Yep. He said, this is coming back to agents saying that they're just starting to see a lot more people at opens. And after that open, he had to send out 4 more contracts.
Yep.
So again, you've got buyers that are probably like thinking, this is pretty good. This is sort of what we want. But all of a sudden, come auction day, too late. It's already sold, mate.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, and that's the thing, and the agent will do all their due diligence and go out to buyers that have inquired. But to get a call on a Wednesday to say, hey, we're selling this, we're not going to Saturday, that can really throw people that don't transact a lot of property off guard, understandably. So just to take that time away from people, I think is a really good tool. And obviously you never know if it had gone to Saturday what it would have done. But I do know that Saturdays usually aren't an amazing hunting ground for us that go there and stand in the sun and put our hands up a few times and have people get excited and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, taking away that time from your competitors, I think matters.
Yeah, there aren't too many bargains to be found on auction day. And in this case even more so, because I think from what I was told from the agent, and he wasn't just trying to sell me, he was just telling me feedback of where the market was. He had quite a few new, very interested parties who, on that day could have easily just bumped it up 50,000, 60,000, 100,000.
Yeah.
As you know, it can take off so quickly.
Especially out in that corridor, with a lot of heavy Asian contingent. They're massive in these areas. I've been to a few auctions, as you do, Gav.
Can get a bit scary.
And they can, they bloody outnumber you out there. So and they're very fierce. And when they want something, they sort of lean right into it. So I think if you can take that time away from them and get something going early, bird in the hand type stuff, I think it's good.
Yeah, it's in the school zone. It's in the Doncaster high school zone or secondary college zone. So again, it's a great school. It's not quite up there with East Doncaster, but very good secondary. But then, we're looking at a very similar property in East Doncaster, and again, it was right on the boundary of the school zone, so it wasn't in the heart of it, and that was 158, and we've just picked this up for 1.4.
Yeah,
and there's more land.
Yeah, I love it when clients have budgets, and that's great. I was on the phone to one today they're talking about coming on board, which is great. But yeah, their budget is quite extensive, I suppose. But saying, hey, we can really get a great result at around this level, and they just say, oh, fantastic. Just because you've got it doesn't mean you need to spend it. So we don't need to spend it all. And the thing is, they've gone from 2 weeks ago spending 158 to 1.4, now. So in a space of a week, they're still on the development journey they wanted to be on, but they've saved themselves 180,000. So I like that. Yeah,
and look, we're a week today. No, excuse me, we're less than a week from purchasing it, and we're already talking about design. So even the background here in our office, We've had all the paperwork done.
Yeah.
Everyone's happy, and we're already sort of right into the meat of the design, which is, it's exciting for everyone.
Yeah, yeah.
But what that good purchase also that does then, if we go back to the feasibility here, and we'll touch on that in a sec. So purchase at 1.4, we got our settlement and adjustments and acquisition costs there as per normal. We've got our planning costs, project management. All of these numbers are pretty similar to most of these feasibilities for these projects. We cover each week whenever we do. Now, I've got our price there, our standard price there for an RBD 30. There's a bit of extra money in there for the alfresco and the double garage. There is a metre of fall, which we saw on Land Checker there. So I've got about 30 grand for that. 27.5 for landscaping and fencing. We could bump that up a bit more. And this is the thing I was just going to say, we've got a saving of about 180 grand. Now, you're not going to go and put all that into the build because you may not get that back. And keeping in mind, these guys are going to keep one. So the ROI at the bottom isn't the most important number, which we discussed in our other podcasts. So we've got another 50 grand here in spec. I'm just sort of thinking they want to live in one, so they're probably going to want a few niceties.
Yeah.
So we've got a budget for that. And to be honest, at buying it so well, we've probably got a bit more of that if they choose. And, we'll manage that process. That's what we do. We're not going to let them get too carried away.
Yeah.
But we'll certainly find a cost-efficient way to get, property that they want to live in.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. Plenty in that build, plenty there for our team to massage and get a great outcome for them. Like you've got in there, the right holding costs, the resale values for that area and that size of dwelling, look definitely fair to me. So
yeah, definitely. Well, look, those comps I had there, they're ranging from around 2 mil to 2.45.
Yeah.
So what I've come in here at 2.05. And like I said, I'm not trying to get the best ROI here, but you can just see by looking at this that, if they can sell for 2.1 or 2.2, depending on how much money they want to spend on it for the one that they're not going to keep, that just comes off their loan and they're even a bit more comfortable and maybe a step closer to getting into the next development.
Yeah, 100%, Gavin. I think, bought well in a flat market. So, this will be a circa 24 month, as we say, 2-year project. You could very easily be shopping in the optimistic lane, in 2 years' time, which would be lovely.
For a standard normal, or I say just a developer who comes to us and wants to build and sell, and this is where the feasibility, that's what it sort of represents in this format. If you say optimistic 2.2, you're looking at a 27% ROI and almost 900 grand. Now, even if you come back from that 5% or 10%, you're doing fantastic. That's a great development.
Yeah, no, great one, and really great clients. And like you said, we're already fizzing along with the development.
Yeah.
It's cooking. Plans are getting slightly altered, and then pulling together the town planning application and putting it in. So, no time wasted.
No, they're very excited, and they're great to work with. So I think it's going to be a good partnership.
Awesome. Gav, well done. Thanks again. And another great project. And I guess just a lesson to everyone out there that there is potentially some speed humps, some little red flags, but if you can work through them, they can nearly be an opportunity. So good work with that, Gav.
Yeah, sometimes they can't be avoided, but in this case, we found a workaround and a great result.
Awesome. Thanks for coming, Gav, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
See you on the next one.
Thanks, guys. Any value, please let us know. And like I said, some little red flags can be opportunities as long as you can work through them confidently and you've got your people in place to help you get confidence around that. If you can't get confidence, walk away and find another one. Happy developing.